Welcome to another episode of People of the Process. And this is a solo episode, just me, and we are going to be talking about something that God has really shown me over the last 4 years that He has grown me in, because tomorrow is my last first day of school, guys, which is absolutely crazy just to think that so much has changed and that this is going to be my last time being an Asbury student, and this is a place that has molded me a ton. So let's talk about it. So I'm a kid that grew up in a ministry family. My parents always taught me you need to be relational, you need to always be looking to see what someone needs help so you can do it before they ask. You need to be looking at how to include people, how to serve people, just thinking about these kind of things. And some people would say that that makes you people-oriented. Other people would say that makes you program-oriented. And that's where the difference tends to be. That there are two kinds of people: people-oriented or people-focused, and then program-oriented, program-focused people. And I would say that I am probably more on the program side, because I am not as relational as I used to think I was. And I'd always seen it modeled to me that being relational is what you had to do, and so it's always what I tried to do. But it wasn't always authentic. And I wasn't always the best at it. When I first got to Asbury as a freshman, I was so excited because it was a place where it was like, I am somewhere where people don't know who my dad is, who my grandparents are. I get to make something for me. And I'm here to swim, I'm here to study ministry. And I was probably one of the last people in the class, first people out the door. Because I was like, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna do my thing. And I honestly didn't really focus on other people other than the swim team. And that left me feeling pretty empty and in a season of spiritual dryness, because I was not spending my time in ways that I was being poured into, in ways that I was serving. I was making other things idols, and I quickly realized this isn't going to work for me. And I was talking to a guy who was a little bit older than me, who I looked up to, and he said, "You need to become an RA. And, that's going to fix it. And because you're going to have a place to serve and you're going to have a mentor." And it was something that really did help, but it didn't immediately fix my problems, because I still, in my relationships, in my friendships, that I was being forced to get to know people I didn't know yet. And these were people some of them I wouldn't have been friends with otherwise. And I'm so thankful I had the opportunity to become their friends. But, it's a job where you're getting paid to be friends with people. And I'm not always the best friend, because I'm someone that is when I see a problem, I immediately want to fix it. I want to call it out. I'm someone who, if I see someone not doing something to the level of excellency that I would, instead of encouraging them, my natural response is to complain. If someone needs something, I want to do it for them. And I want to read a story that's about someone else who has a similar mindset to me. So, in Luke 10, it said, while they were traveling, he entered a village, and a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. And she had a sister named Mary, who also sat at the Lord's feet and was listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. And she came up and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to serve alone? So tell her to give me a hand." The Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but one thing is necessary. Mary has made the right choice, and it will not be taken away from her." You see, I resonate with Martha a lot of times, where it's like, why are other people not doing this? Why are they not serving? Why aren't they like invested? Why aren't they I have this plan, I have this program, it's going to be great. And sometimes I don't even ask, did they need it? Is that what they want? You know, like, she never asked Jesus, do you want me to make all this stuff? She just started doing it. And Mary went and sat and talked to him. She gave him company. And he said, I'm not going to tell her to not hang out, not to have community with me. And I think that's something that sometimes I can get frustrated at people that move slower, that are community builders. Because I love the building community, but I often don't do it naturally. I do it programmatically. And I saw this passage, and it convicted me that the idea that sometimes I can be too busy serving that I don't sit at Jesus' feet, or I can be too busy serving someone that I don't actually sit with the person I'm trying to serve. And these were things that has something that I've really tried to grow in my time at Asbury and my time as a leader. It's something I've had to work on a lot, especially because people meet needs different ways. And sometimes in my leadership, I've tried to force other leaders to be too much like me. And I don't want to do that. And I've realized the wrongs in that. And I also realized the wrongs in not slowing down and not sitting at his feet, not sitting with a person and seeing what they need before I try and figure out what I need to do. Taking them out of the equation and just trying to solve a problem. So, if you're a leader, I want to encourage you to think about those things as well. And there's a second passage about Mary and Martha and Jesus that also I think is really cool to think about as well. We go a little bit further. Mary and Martha, you can tell they show up a few times in the New Testament. They're friends of Jesus, and they also have a brother. His name is Lazarus. And when Lazarus dies, it said that they called for Jesus, obviously not on the phone, but they reached out to Jesus, and Jesus said, he's like, this sickness will not end in death, but is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it. He then waited 2 days before he goes to respond. Sometimes as a leader, we want to be so quick to fix someone else's problems that we swoop in before God can move or the person can move to fix it themselves. But there was glory in the fact that Jesus waited. I suck at waiting. It's something that I've had to get a lot better at, to let people make mistakes, to let people struggle. But the testimonies that can come out of struggle are beautiful. Well, the thing is here that Lazarus dies. And he'd already been in the tomb for 4 days. And at that point, the Israelite people, they don't think that you can revive him. They're like, the soul's already, it's left the body at that point. It's gone. But Jesus shows up, and they're like, dude, you don't even want to open that door. It stinks, man. Like, don't do it, bro. Like, and people are angry. Mary and Martha are like, why didn't you come? Why would you do that? Like, we know you could have done it. Why didn't you? Why didn't you heal him? But before Jesus goes in and heals him, he doesn't just do that. It says he wept. You know, it says that Jesus, he shared the sorrow of death. People said, see how he loved him. because he didn't just go to fix their problem as some unemotional, analytical approach. He said, this is a man who I love. He cared about this person, and he sat in the emotion with those around him. We're not superheroes as leaders who just swoop in like Batman in our masks and then leave without them even knowing that we did anything other than we solved it. They see our face. They see our hearts. They should see how you care, and you should spend the time to slow down, to sit in the emotion with them. And then, he rose him from the dead. He showed his power, and there was an ultimately amazing testimony. He solved the problem. I'm not telling you don't solve problems, but I'm telling you sometimes slow down. Slow down. Leave time for things to happen before running into a problem, making it worse, or ruining a testimony. And when the time is right, sit in the emotion with the person before you give advice, before you give correction, before you make a move and do something. Sit, be patient. Something that I've gotten a lot better about doing in my time here. I'm still a long way to go. I still struggle with this at times. I have another story that's not from the Bible, but something that a mentor of mine told me this summer, that we were working on our missions trips, and sometimes I get moving so quickly that I'm already thinking about what's the next thing we do, what's the next detail, what do we have to do next, how do we get them moving, and what can I improve, what can we do better? And he told me, there's a story, it's a little children's book, but it's a story that he loves, and it spoke to me. It's about 2 trucks, and that there was a dump truck that was big, and it was always busy and going, and it didn't have time to stop and talk to people, and it just went, and it was kind of gruff, and people kind of just give it space, and were like, it's efficient, it does its job, but it's not a friend. And then there was a little blue truck that would stop and talk to all the animals along the way. And everyone knew him, everyone was his friend. And one day, the dump truck gets stuck in the mud. And he tries and he he can't get out. But nobody comes to help him. But then the little blue truck comes. And the little blue truck stops and he helps him. But he also gets stuck. And he's like, what are the dump trucks? What are we gonna do? Now we're both stuck and nobody else came to help me. But the blue truck says, reminded him, I have a lot of friends. And all of his friends, when they saw him, they all came together and they helped and they got them both out. And so sometimes we need to slow down because there's value in relationships. Because if you don't slow down, then who is going to help you? If you're always helping other people, but you're not building relationships, you're just doing, then what are you really doing? What is the lasting impact? So those are some things that I've really been thinking about and have been on my heart. And I've been trying some leadership principles that have shaped my time as I've learned to slow down, to be more relational, to try and be a blue truck. I literally have leadership starts with how I lead me and interact with them. Also, I need to be a blue truck, and a picture of a blue truck drawn on my whiteboard over there. And I have a couple other leadership principles and prayers and goals on that board, but the picture, I need to be a blue truck, is something I try to live by, because it doesn't always come natural. I'm a little bit more of a dump truck, but I'm trying to be a blue truck. And I'm not trying to be a blue truck because it's what my job is, and my job is I have to send a certain amount of hours with people, and I'm going to spend time with this guy because I see leadership potential in him. But as soon as I see potential in someone else that needs discipled, I'm going to move on to them and leave this guy in the dust. I've done that too many times. And I want to get better at that. I'm not trying to I need to be friends with this guy because he doesn't know Jesus well. I want to be friends with him because I don't know him well. It's the person, not the need. And that's something I want to challenge you with. I want to challenge you, just like I've challenged myself, to make friends with the people that you didn't think would be your friends. I thought when I came here that the swim team was only circle I was ever going to need. And it's been the opposite. God flipped that on its head, and I was not on the swim team after my sophomore year. And because I'd become an RA, guys that I was an RA for, who I wouldn't have met if I'd been an RA, were the guys that were my friends. And swimmers, some of those swimmers I don't even talk to anymore. And so the thing is, you never know who God wants you to get close to. So don't ignore them. Don't write them off. Don't just think, I don't need to put effort into that. That person doesn't have anything to teach me. That person doesn't really seem like they're someone worth my time or my effort. Who am I to say is worth my time? All my time is of the Lord's. And I need to listen to where is he leading. I need to slow down and stop trying to think what's next on my calendar. What is his calendar? All right. I hope that this made sense to you guys and that I wasn't just rambling out of my somewhere in my brain that was discombobulated, but I hope it made sense, that something spoke to you. And have a blessed week. I'll talk to you next week.